What's going on, guys? This is part 5 of the Python chat server, and strap in, we got a lot of stuff to do, tons of code to write, so let's get right into it right now. Alright, so before we do anything too crazy, let's go ahead and import the system library. We're definitely gonna need it to shut down some of the threads that we're gonna be opening. And I actually want to get started by just writing some comments here so I can get my head straight and kind of just prepare for what's to come. So I'm just gonna write some comments here on the server configuration just so we know what is what's going on here. In this part, we're gonna be joining both scripts, so both the client and the server script will be one by the end of this video. So there's definitely gonna be over 100-ish lines of code. So let's take it slow, go little by little, and we should be alright. I'm gonna write some comments here. Number of clients to listen for, and this here, why is this the same? Shouldn't this be a +1 unless I changed it on the past video? Well, it doesn't matter, I'll just leave it with the +1 over here. Regardless, if we skip a port, it's gonna be for 2022 instead of for 2021, which is not a big deal anyway. Ports available for server thread. Alright, so one of the things we're gonna need for now is gonna be, we need a variable to control the main server. So what this is gonna do is we're gonna turn the main server into a daemon thread. So whenever we have this to true, the main script is gonna go ahead and fire a new main server. Alright, so we're gonna need this to control that value. Alright, what else should we start thinking about? I think right about now is a good time for us to do a list of logs, and this is where we're gonna start registering everything that happens on the script so that we can display that later, because it's gonna get a little hectic, and having all that info is definitely gonna help us troubleshoot or figure anything that went wrong. Okay, well, that's it for that. So we're gonna need to create a function to save all of the log into this list over here. So let's find a nice little space for it here, maybe right about here, and we're gonna call it printl. So we're gonna use it just like the print function, except that it's gonna save all that text for us. So then instead of just printing something like over here, we're gonna use this function, and this data will be saved into our list, and that's how we're gonna have all those logs whenever we want to display them. So let's just do a simple function. We're gonna have to do a global log text to make that list available inside of the function. Then we just do like this, append text, cool, and print the text. So that's it, very simple function. However, this function requires that we now change all of these print statements here into printl, which is kind of annoying, but if we have to do it, we have to do it. So let's just go and do that right away. So print L, close it. So you see where this is going, right? We're gonna spend a few minutes here doing this BS here. Wherever we find a print, we're gonna have to go and change it. Yeah, this is gonna have to, yep, like that. So now for the server handler, I'm actually not sure that we want to save this information. I guess for now we can save it. But later on we're gonna have to create a new function to store the user logs separately, and then we'll probably have to come back and change this one. But that's alright. Alright, so let's keep moving here. Yep. I mean, you might even fast forward this later on in the video. This is just very boring part. Oops, skipped one here. Okay, connecting back. Yeah, we're definitely gonna wanna log that. Starting server thread. Yep. So yeah, we're gonna have to create a client thread today along with the main server thread. Oh, that's it. Oh, that was actually faster than I expected it to be. Alright, so we converted all the text to our new function. So now whenever we print this list over here, we're gonna get to see everything that the script is outputting to the screen. Perfect. Alright. Yeah, I didn't miss anything. Cool. So what should we start with? Alright, so here, let's go back here. On the clients list, in order for us to start the clients thread, we're gonna have to store information on this list over here. So what that means is we're gonna need to use this information on the server thread as well to display the username and information for each client. So I guess the way that we're gonna store it, it's gonna be like this, right? Username, IP address, and port. So this would be like an entry in our clients list. So with that in mind, let's go into our server thread here. And we're just gonna add a simple check here to make sure that we find the exact username of each client. So let's do it like this. Right after we receive the message, determine username client user equals 0. We'll do like for X in clients, if string u1 Alright, so just to explain what's happening here, we have the B, which is the IP address, and like I said, the IP on the client list up here is the first argument, right? So 0 is the username, 1 is the IP address. So basically we're just comparing if this IP address is equal to the address that just connected to our server thread. If that's the case, then we can go ahead and use that username, and we can format it a little bit nicer. We can do like that, kind of an old school look here, and we'll just do client user oops, plus, yeah, so then it's gonna show the message with the username for that specific client. Alright, now we want to jump, here we go guys, here we go, into the client handler. Alright, this is not gonna be too complicated, I don't believe. Basically we're just gonna need the client IP, the client port, and we're just gonna do a new socket. Told you guys this is over and over. We're gonna be creating these new sockets. Cool. Then we're just gonna go ahead and connect to the client IP. I guess we can make sure this is a string just in case the info is not one, and this will have to be an int. There we go. Alright, after that we're gonna do a nice little break, and let's send a message. So we're gonna do send, and there is the socket, and we'll send over just a test message, just like that, so that whenever we receive this message we know we are inside of the private communication. Alright, and this will be the socket that we're going to be using to communicate with the client. So we want to add this to our socks list. If you don't remember, we created this list at the very beginning right here, list of sockets, right? So this list of clients is not the actual client's threads, it's just the information about the client. And basically the list of servers is going to be the server threads, and the list of sockets is going to be the list of client threads, just so you guys have that in mind. Alright, so let's append this socket over here. Perfect. So what else do we need? Now if you guys remember, here on the client script we had to use this code over here, and this code is so we can ask the user what IP address and what port they want to connect, and then we initialize the connection through this. So we're gonna need to merge, this is where we start merging some of the aspects of this script with the server script, so at the end of this video it's all gonna be coming together, right? So let's go ahead and we're gonna use this, but we're actually gonna have to improve this a little bit. So let me go above this over here, and we're gonna do a function to connect to a client. Alright, so let's define this as connect. I think should be okay. So we're gonna need a client IP. So this is basically gonna be used to initialize the connection to a new client, and we'll program it so that we can connect to any port, but initially you're gonna use this function to connect to the main server port, which is we defined as 42020. So let's do like that, and the port available. We'll keep this here, since if we want to do a different port, we'll leave that option open, since it's going to be the same code and we can just recycle it. So let's start by doing a check on the client IP. So if the length of that argument is greater than 0, then we're going to set client equals to the client IP, just so you understand. So if we pass it like a blank like this, then it's gonna ask us to input. Why did that happen? So yeah, so then we can use this code over here. All right, we could do like that. So basically this will set it to whatever the user wants to connect to. And then we got to do the same thing for the port. So if client port, we'll do port equals client port. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and ask the user to submit whatever port he wants to connect to. Okay, so this is a good start for a connect function. Now we still need to check on this port available argument, and this is just in case we want to use the connect function inside of this script itself programmatically. So let's do it. Okay, a new port if ptav equals 0. So if we pass a 0 for this argument, we're just going to go ahead and automatically allocate a new port. Since we have that function here anyway, why not automate the whole thing, right? So 0 alloc port wait, it's actually a lock address, not ports. Alright, do a little interval here. Then we can set this at the available port, and yeah, let's go ahead and use this code over here. Oh, it's already there. What am I doing? Okay, like that. Cool. So this is already going to go ahead and connect using these arguments over here. Perfect. What else do we need to do? Little break. And then let's send a message. So this message is going to say user, and then we're going to pass over the username to that client on the main server. So the first message they're going to receive is going to be the username, and this is so that they can add it to the client list immediately. Alright, so then we can do another little break, do a little bit longer this time, and we're gonna send the port. Like that. Alright, so this will be a connect function. And you can see we have a few components from the main server right in here, such as sending the port. We're already going to be sending it automatically through this function, as well as the user, so that we can save both of that information in the client list. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now, I think it's time we create the text user interface. Since we're gonna be running the main server as a thread, the server handler as a thread, and the client handler as a thread, well, everything is gonna be running in the background. So what that means is we're gonna need a text user interface to control when the user wants to connect, when they want to activate a client to send a message, and when they want to exit the script, and so on, right? So let's jump into that. We'll do it right over here. And we're gonna call it the main control screen. Text user interface. There we go. And we can call this refresh. Oops. No arguments. We'll just start by clearing up the screen. Then we're gonna print the name of the program, Python chat server. All right. I'm gonna be doing a lot of line breaks in here. Welcome user so we're gonna display the amount of clients that are connected to the program at that moment, like that. Okay. All right. So if we have more than one client connected, then we want to go ahead and do a little loop to go through that list and display all the clients that we have connected. So let's do like this for j in range, and we'll do 0 length clients print. Okay, so this is where we get into the numbers that the user are gonna use. So basically each number is gonna be an option, right? So I usually like to do 0 for them to exit the script, and then we can do like 1 for them to connect to the script. So whenever they're gonna connect to a new client, they can press option 1, and we can do 2 so that they can check the status, which I showed this in the overview, and basically it displays all the open sockets, all the open threads, all the logs from the main server, and so on. So with that in mind, any number past 2 we're gonna be using to activate a client. So the first client is gonna be number 3, and then the following number 4, number 5, so on, right? So what that means is we have to display here a string, and then we have to do the j, which is gonna be the number plus 3, because lists usually start at 0. Oh, forgot to plus here. Let's do the plus right there. Oh yeah, notice how we're not using the print function here. Okay, like you see here we have print L. That's because this information we don't want to log the refresh screen. It's just gonna clog our logs with just the same screen over and over. So yeah, just getting that out of the way. So client, then we do client j, which is gonna be the number ranging from 0 to the amount of clients connected, and the argument was Yeah, username is 0, so that's what you want to display. So J0. So let's do J0 like that, and we'll add a line break at the end. And here we can do else. We'll just go ahead and print like, I don't know, like 3 dots like that, just so that we know there's no clients connected and it's gonna have 3 dots to let us know. So now let's print the options, and this is what I was talking about. We'll print it like this. 1, connect. We'll do option number 2, we'll do status, line break, and option 0 is gonna be exit. Alright. And then we can print some line breaks here. Press Control C to interact. So this is how the user will interact with the program. They have to press Control C and input their option. And then we just print like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Seems good. So it's like a nice little line break, so we know whatever comes under this is either gonna be the log or the messages we receive from the user. Alright, so this will be the main control screen. Now, since we're talking about the status, I think it's also a good time to go, and it's going to be a similar function to this. We're just going to print a bunch of text. So basically a bunch of loops. Yeah, let's do that. So define, we call it status con. Basically status connection, and we'll just print. I'm gonna start, pretty similar function. Python chat server, like that. And then we can print. Actually, let me copy this here. It's gonna make life a lot easier. Put a line break in there. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna print is gonna be the servers. So we do it like that. Servers. Break the line. Yeah, let me actually do another line break here, otherwise. So let's make a loop here for X in servers. So go through all the server. We're just gonna go ahead and print that with the line break. Alright, then we'll do the clients. Cool, for Y and clients. So you see where this is going, right? Just printing pretty much all of the lists we have on the script. And then we do print 3 sockets for S in sockets. Print string sockets. I think that's it. Copy this, keep that on the clipboard. Oh yeah, I think this is a good place for us to print whatever is in the log text list as well. So let's do for L in log text, print L. Whoops, I forgot. And we're gonna need more time here. So I think what we do is we do a nice interval of like 20 seconds, or maybe like, I don't know, like, alright, at least, yeah, 20 seconds seems okay. Maybe like 14, I don't know. Let's save that. Alright, now this is where it gets interesting. Gonna breathe here, have a little water. Now this is where we're gonna take this code over here, this huge block, and we have to turn this, along with this as well, into a thread. This is gonna be the main server thread, and this is gonna control pretty much the entirety of like the flow of how the server threads are gonna spawn and how the client threads are gonna spawn. So this is by far the most complex part of the script so far. So let's just dive into it. I'm sure we're gonna have to get rid of some of these, like this message and other stuff, but it should be okay. So let's call this main server thread. So we're gonna define main server, oops, forgot the space, and we're gonna do the server IP and the server port, like so. So the first thing we're gonna need is, remember how we set this bad boy over here? Right, so this is gonna control the main server. We're gonna be using this variable here to let us know whenever we have to spawn a new main server. So basically, once we establish the client thread and the server thread, then we're done using the main server for that client, and we can just exit and fire the server again so we can listen for the next incoming client, right? So with that in mind, let's get that variable. There we go. And the first thing we're gonna do is this chunk of code over here. We can just go ahead and do like that. I don't think we need to change anything in there. Yeah, everything looks solid to me. This we can delete. It's gonna be no more testing either on the server or the client. We're ready to merge things and get everything into one nice script. So one thing that would be interesting is if we decide to check for the allocated ports. I'm not sure we're gonna need this code, but let's write a little bit of comments here to get our thoughts straight. So yeah, we're gonna need to check if the IP and port is good for the next server thread, and yeah, and then we can store this inside the clients list so we know exactly which port each client is going to be connected to. And then we can just go through that list, and if we find a port that's matching, we can just allocate another port, right? So let's do that just in case. We probably don't need this, but it's better to have it than to not have it. So F port, was it the, so port is this argument here. Okay, so 0, 1, 2. So it's gonna be F2. Oops, F2. If that is equal to the port available that we have configured, then we can just go ahead and allocate a new port for it, right? Sweet. So this, we don't need this break anymore. What we do need is main server begins here. So this whole block here, we have to tab it into place. See? So we gotta go like that. There we go. Now it's properly indented. Alright. So a few things are gonna change, not everything. So we're gonna print the connection. That's gonna remain the same. We're gonna keep this try here. Then this is gonna be the same. The message, we're gonna store it as a message as well. So like we said earlier, whenever we use the connect function, the first thing we're gonna send is the username, right? Followed by the port. So this is the first thing we're gonna check for, is the username, and then we'll check for the port. So instead of using these messages here as the condition, we should be looking to use the username and the port as conditions from this point forward. So let's go ahead and do like this, and message filter to 5 is different than, no, actually let's do 4. So if the message is different than user, we'll just go ahead and print the message. Alright. I'm actually gonna start giving it a little bit more space on the script here so it doesn't get too complicated. Now, if the message is user, so let's get rid of this. So if the first 4 characters of the message is equal to user, then we're gonna start negotiating the private connection. We're gonna go ahead, start the socket, we're gonna print the message, and we're gonna connect back. Now, I think this is a good spot for us to go ahead and add this information to the client's list, right? So the address is gonna be A, and the username is gonna be the last few characters after the first 5 characters. So it might sound a little confusing, but you guys will probably understand once I do it. Add client to the client's list. So like, if you guys remember, username, IP, oops, and port. I think that's how we set it up, right? So let's do clients append, and now this is where it's gonna be a little tricky. So we do message -5, we have to subtract, right? So we're gonna do, basically we want to get rid of the first 5 characters of the message, which is gonna be user and a blank space. So we do that by subtracting. Now we need to get the length of the message itself, like that, length, and then we do the 5, then we close the parentheses, and we do it like that. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, and then we do the IP. The IP is easy, it's just the first argument and the port available, right? So this is going to be the allocated port that we have for the client. Cool. All right. So after we do that, we have to start a new server thread. And do we have this code over here already? We do. So let's just copy this code. There we go. And let me see if we gotta change anything here. We're still gonna want it as a daemon. Yep, we gotta append it to our servers list. The name is gonna use the port available as well. Yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks good. I don't think we need this message anymore. I don't see the purpose. This was just a testing thing, so we can get rid of that. So allocate address, we're actually doing that up here, right? Yeah, I don't think we need to allocate the address over here. We've already went through that. We'll do keep the little interval here. Now, yeah, the port is being sent through this function now. So we don't need the port anymore. Or do we? No, I don't think we do. I don't think we do. What we do need to do is we need to do another clause to check for the port. So whenever we receive, just like we're checking here for the user, we have to check for the port all the way at the bottom here, right? Yeah, so let's get rid of this. And are we gonna break from here? No, right? Let me see. No. Instead of the break, we're just gonna go and put the check here. And this check is gonna be port. Cool. Alright, so on the port side, this is where we have to get some code from here. Oh no, the code is not here. Well, it's the same code, but yeah. But now we're using the client thread instead, so yeah, we're gonna need this maybe later, but yeah. Alright, so let's just go and use a client thread now instead of just copying that code, since we do want the client thread in the background as well. Cool, so let's do client thread name is gonna be client t plus, and then we're gonna use the, we're gonna subtract 5 from the message, so that's gonna be the port and we want to save that as the client thread. So if they connect in port 42021, the name of the thread is going to be for client T 42021. That's why it keeps things like easy to figure what is going on. And then we can just let me copy this bad boy like that, and we're gonna do starting client thread, and we'll show the name of the thread, client handler thread name. Okay, and we'll do this is actually gonna be the thread name. There we go. Then the target, client handler, and the arguments are gonna be what was the argument we needed? Was the client IP address, right? And the client port. So let's do a string A. Again, we're getting this A all the way from up here. That's where we get the IP from. Okay. And do I have the right parentheses here or what? Then we need the port. The port is this thing here, right? Okay. Yeah, the port is right, because there's port and a space, right? Yeah, port space. Okay, so 5 characters. Cool. Alright. So this looks good, I believe. Okay. And then we gotta set it to a daemon. True. We gotta start it. Alright. Can leave a comment here. So we remember what's going on. Alright, so that's it for the main server, right? So once we have the server thread and the client thread, that means we're basically done with the main server. So all of this should happen in a few seconds, by the way. That's why it's kind of like complicated to grasp everything that's going on. But we're gonna configure both connections, right, in the background, and after that we can shut down the main server and then immediately fire back so it starts listening for the next client. Cool. So let's do that right after this here. Okay, so we're gonna do try, and we're gonna try to shut down the socket we opened all the way at the beginning here, right? So shut down, whoops, socket.shut. So yeah, that's how we do it. We're going to try to gracefully shut it down first. And then we can print that out as well. Okay. Gotta add this like that. Okay. Then we're gonna say closing main server connection. There we go. Do a nice interval here. And this is where we have to set the main server to false, right? So if it's set to false, we're gonna have a while controlling loop down here which is gonna be like, hey, is the main server on or off? Oh, it's off. Okay, so I gotta go ahead and fire it up again, listen for the connection, and repeat this whole thing over here, right? So yeah, let's do it like false. And then we just, since it's a thread and the main server is also going to be ran as a daemon, we can just actually exit the thread, and that should basically wrap it up, right? So let's just do a system exit. And this is not going to exit from the script, by the way. This is just going to exit out from the main server thread. And yeah, basically we're exit, start it up again, exit, start it up again, and then if there's any exceptions, you can just pass it. All right. Oh boy, that was a lot of code right there. This is, again, let's add a little bit of commentary here. First part of negotiating the connection will receive username, right? So we receive the user, and then we can add it to the clients list and fire the server thread. Okay. And now, second part, receive port to connect to, and fire up the client thread on that port, right? So I think that gives it a little bit more context. So now you can kind of understand what's going on, right? Basically there's two parts to it. Well, there's three if you count the listening part, which yeah, this looks good. This looks good, I think. And we'll put a little comment here. Here we'll shut down the main server thread. And that's it. So that's gonna do it for the main server thread. Now we need to have a loop to control. So yeah, like here we're not really doing anything, right? We're just telling the script like, hey, while you see any server threads, stay alive so we can receive some messages, which is cool and all, but we're not displaying the text user interface, and we're not even interacting with the user necessarily here. We're just telling the script to sleep forever pretty much. So we're gonna have to change this up. Let's go start by showing, so display main control screen text user interface, like that. After that we can have a little break like usual. That, I don't mean for you guys to go take a break. We still got stuff to do, right? So hang in there. I guarantee you like 3-4 more minutes and we're out of here. So I'm probably gonna end up deleting this. Well, yeah, let's just delete it right now. So we'll just delete that, and we'll do, I think the first, let me change this though. Main script loop controls user interaction and active chat. Whoops, typo city. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna have to do is we gotta check on the main server, right? Check on the main server thread. So if the main server is equals to false, we gotta go ahead and fire up a main server thread. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So we're gonna call it main server threading thread, and we'll do name equals main server. Then the target is gonna be that ugly huge chunk of code that we just went through, and the arguments are the host. We're gonna need an integer here and the port. Nice. Then we're gonna set it as a daemon true. We gotta run it in the background for sure. Then main server, start it up. And last but not least, we gotta set this to true, otherwise it's gonna keep running these threads all day long, and that would be horrible. So after that, we're just gonna do a try clause, and we're gonna refresh the screen. While refreshing the screen, we can just do a little interval here of like, I don't know, let's say 6 seconds or something, or whatever. I'm gonna have to play around with these intervals later, because I think some of them might be out of place. I don't know. So if the script is a little delayed, that's fine. As long as it works, I'll be happy. Later we can fine-tune the intervals or work on whatever we have to. So here we do an accept keyboard interrupt. This is how the user interacts with the script. So act equals, we're gonna do a raw input here, enter action. So this is where the user actually decides if what they're trying to do, if they want to connect to a new client or whatever. So like that. Okay, so if they decide to connect to a new client, let's go back up here. Okay, so remember, yeah, so we have to pass a blank string and a blank port and 0 for the port available. So basically that way we're gonna ask them, what address are you connecting to, what port are you connecting to, blah blah blah. So let's do, they do that, we're gonna do connect empty empty and 0, like that, and then we're gonna prompt them for whatever, you know. Otherwise, else if int act equals 2, then we're gonna do the status connection, and this is gonna display the logs, the threads, all that good stuff. Now else if, oops, int act equals 0, well then we're just gonna quit the script. We might get an error initially, and we can do a part later on where we go through the little errors that are possible happening, whatever. So yeah, we'll take care of that later. We've done more than enough so far. And the last condition is else if int act is greater than 2. So this is what I was referring to. If the number is 3 or greater, then we're gonna go ahead and activate a client that's connected. Alright, so the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna have to set act. We're actually gonna subtract, so let's make it an int like that, -3, right? So if they do 3, we're gonna activate client 0 on our list, right? I think that makes sense. So length, I'm gonna use the sock server. We could use any list here, but I'll use the socks one. And then we do while true. So this is where we actually get into, I guess we can put a comment here. Enter chat mode. So this is where we finally get to chat with a specific client that's connected to us. All right, and we'll do a message equals input, do a line break, right? And we can do usual get time stuff. Then we'll do enter message. All right. So if the message equals quit, well, it needs to be a string though. I think then we just break out of this loop. Is that right? I mean this loop, right? Just break out of it. And then we go back into this loop. So like a loop inside of a loop. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and, why does it always do that, man? Send it, and we're gonna send it to socks act, right? Because we did, yeah, so that's gonna be 0. So if they put 4, it's gonna be 1. If they put 5, it's gonna be 2. So yeah, that should work. And then we do the message here. Oh man. All right, almost done, almost done. All right, so if they try to activate and their length is no good, we're gonna do print no clients found. Simple message like that. We can also do an interval here times do times like 6, whatever. Yeah, again, I might have to go and mess with this. Else we're just gonna path. Oh boy, that was a lot of code. That was a lot of code, but I think that's it. I think we're good here. Alright guys, this is the moment of truth. Let's run the script. Oh, we got a little error here. Non-keyword arg after keyword. Oh, we forgot the equal here. That's reasonable. So Control F args, not this one. Oh, there it is. We need to do equal here. Alright, let's run it back. Username. There we go. There's our nice text user interface. Now let me try it on the clients here. Okay. Username. Okay, let's do a connection here. Option 1. The IP address, the port, enter. Oh, we got one connection. The server thread, client thread. Alright guys, so upon checking the script again, there's a few details that need to be corrected here. So let's go ahead and fix them. I noticed that on the server side here, we were only opening the connection on our side, but the client was not receiving the connection. And then when I looked at the connect function, we did everything right, but we never actually called the connect function on our side of the connection. So by a result of that, we're only getting a one-way connection. So what we have to do is, first of all, let's correct a few little things here. Over here, actually, I like to have a nice little line break so that we know it's a separation between the clients and the options. So let's just add like 3 dashes like this. It looks a little better in my opinion. And then I had another typo here where I wrote sockets, but it's supposed to be, let me see. Yeah, it's socks, not sockets. I should have called it sockets, but whatever. So let's just make it socks. That should fix that. And now here in the main server thread, right? This is where the issue is. Right about here. I think we copied this code, or we just had it from the previous part, where we also need to invoke the connect function over here. So we can get rid of this, right? That's the whole purpose of creating that function, so that we don't have to keep invoking these sockets all the time. So let's just do it like this. We'll call the connect function like that, and then we'll do string with the address, the port. I'm gonna make sure it's an int, and the port available, right? Yeah, I think that's good. Then we can get rid of this guy here. And now this, basically we would have to send the message manually containing the username and the port to establish the dual connection. So this should take care of that. And if we save this now, we should be able to go ahead, transfer over it, and pray to the gods that everything is working according to plan this time. So let's try it out. Alright, let's go ahead and try it out. So username. Alright, it's listening. Okay, username. Let's try to connect. Put the IP address and the port. Let's see, connection, negotiating, connecting back. Okay, starting the thread, client. Finally, we are on the private chat. All right. So let's see if I can send a message here from this client. Hey man. Oh, there's the message. What's going on? So we got both messages. That's pretty sweet. Now I wanted to go and connect another client for good measure, just to see if it works. So let's try that. Okay. Another connection from a different computer. Connecting back. Starting the server thread, closing the main server. Oh, there we go. We got the 2 clients. Now let me see if I can send the message. Yo, that's 2 different users right there. Yep. So that's it. Man, that was a lot of code. You guys might have to rewatch that one a few times. And next time we're going to be working on improving the text user interface among other things. So stay tuned and see you next time.